Right, and I'm back. I've done the old whoopsie-daisy magician's trick, and I've turned Ross into Joe. How are we, Joe?
Yeah, really good. Great to be out on the floor. Got to see some GLC as well. Lots of different variety of archetypes out there. Really cool to see that we have such great things going on outside of the main event this weekend.
Yeah, and actually, just before I came on, I was having a little walk around, seeing where everyone's trading, and I saw a game, and I saw a Trico in the active with like an Inke on the other opponent's bench, and a Roltz, and I'm like, is this GLC? Like, yeah. I was like, okay. So it's actually a format that we do see played quite a lot, not in inside events and online events, but people in their spare time looking to play this format, and it's really nice to see.
Yeah, but we are going back into our main event action very shortly. We have our players setting up, getting ready for the game, because we're basically just one win away, I think, at this stage for some of these players to guarantee their spot in top 8.
Yeah, and I think, did you say we've got Lugia versus Regis?
Yeah.
So really interesting matchup. I don't think it's a matchup in which any deck is super well favoured. Both players have counters to counters, and both players have different routes to victory. And I'm going to be very excited, actually, to see how this pans out.
Yeah, I spoke to Ethan earlier on. He was saying he was really trying to dodge those Gudras. He was keeping an eagle eye on the top tables and was worried about how much Hisui and Gudra was in and around him. He was hoping to hit the Muse, but I think on reflection, he'll take this up against Christian, who's piloting the Lugia archetype. He is playing Dunsparce, so he does have protection in his deck list as well as Manaphy. So it should be a pretty good back and forth here, where we have a few pitfalls for both players.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, if you're playing Reggie, you can't be too upset that you hit Yugi. You know, it is the most popular deck. It is the most likely the best deck in format as well, so you take that. It should be a lot easier for him to navigate, more so than navigating around those Gudras, like we said.
So let's see, both players getting ready to go by the looks of things. As we say, Ethan on the left with the Regis. Christian getting set up with that Lugia archetype. There are a lot of things that Ethan can do, not just in terms of an attacking sense, but also Marnie in Path of the Peak is still one of the best defensive plays you can make against Lugia. Force Christian to have that strong combination, a lot of ball search required, sometimes not just getting Lugia developed, getting Archeops into the discard pile, sometimes even having to weave in Pumpkaboo. So we'll see how that dynamic changes throughout the game. Christian is playing an Irida-based build of this deck, so sometimes he can try and go for early proactive uses of Luminion. You can grab that Irida, stash it in your hand for if you need to find your way to bounce a Path of the Peak as well.
Yeah, and then looking at Ethan's list, we do see the one copy of the Astral Radiance Regieleki. Really good for that as an electromagnetic radar attack, I believe, letting you get back a trainer card and put it back into your hand. So we could see maybe some reuse of some powerful trainers, bosses orders, maybe Path to the Peak even. And things look to see. He's actually got a copy of Energy Lotto there. Something that I saw in contention on Twitter saying, why don't Regi players play Energy Lotto? It seems quite good. Or some people saying, why don't you play an extra copy of Energy? But Energy Lotto allows you to have a little bit extra dig to try and find those really powerful Aurora energies.
Yeah, it looks like a pretty conventional list from Ethan with the Regis. Feels like, especially with successes from the likes of Rahul Reddy so much across the pond, it looks like Ethan is also choosing to play that one copy of Cape of Toughness. It can come in handy here and there, keeping yourself out of Stoutland V range in this matchup as well. So that could be something to keep in mind to stop a nice response to prize knockout for Christian. That's one of the only methods he can jump 2 prizes all in one turn if he's able to commit all of his powerful colours energies to Stoutland V.
And it's really interesting because, like you just alluded to, like, you know, if Lugia's playing into one prize that you want to really try and utilise Stoutland, like you said, but Reggie's having such high HP. Ethan actually plays a Cape of Toughness, I believe, as well, just to really push that out of range. So Stoutland, and it's also weak to Reggie Rocks. You're going to be very careful if you want to use that. It's very resource intensive and going to be a very easy to prize cards. But looks like we are going to be getting started here. Both players have their active Pokemon, and we're just waiting for them to flip them over and get this one started.
Ethan already with a couple of Regis in hand, a few energies and an Ultra Ball, so can't be too unhappy. It looks like he will be kicking off the game, and he has even started with the Regi Drago. It's a fantastic opener for him. He does, however, have 2 of his Reg Ice in the prize cards.
Oh, goodness.
So that's going to be a big hurdle for him. He plays 1 copy of his Hisui in Heavy Ball, so he's going to have to navigate that. This opening search isn't going to be too kind, and we may even see a reaction here. For Christian, also has a couple awkward prize cards, the 1 copy of Pumpkaboo, as well as a couple Aurora Energy. So both players right now have something to be a little bit nervous about.
If you're Ethan here, though, like, Both Regis are in the prize cards. Does obviously play the heavy ball, but there is no sort of search. There's no Skylar in this list. You know, it's all just sort of turbo draw via, you know, Reggie Drago or trekking shoes even. You have to imagine trying to find a one-off in a, 50 card deck. It's going to be quite difficult, but it's something that Ethan has no choice about. Has to do that, and in a fast fashion.
Yep. Like you said, there's no way to access this Hisuian heavy ball. You draw it when you draw it, and if it doesn't come in time, you're going to be in trouble. The early discard from this opening Ultra Ball from Ethan is actually getting rid of a path of the peak.
Yeah,
that might indicate there's another one in hand, because it feels like this is one of the strongest ways you can buy time against a Lugia player. Yeah, second path of the peak coming down. 4 fresh cards immediately into the Hisuian heavy ball.
Almost fell off my chair there. There's me saying about how hard it is to find a one-off in a 50-card deck. Ethan was like, oh, hang on a sec, man.
Ethan could not have played that quicker. yeah, absolutely slammed the Hisuian heavy ball. No debate here. Regis is required. And that's the first stumbling block. No longer an issue for Ethan. Gets a turn attachment of twin energy down as well before passing over to Christian.
Yes, I think fair play to Ethan there. Got the Regis out, got a turn attach, and got a path to the pick down and everything he can. Over to Christian now, has to navigate his own awkward prizes. Like you said, Punkaboo, meaning that the path to the peak, if it hangs around, can really grind him down to a halt. We see a capture energy. We probably finds, what, a second Lugia maybe, or Anguru, anything like this.
Yeah, possibly Dunsparce as well is a great way to protect your opening Lugia V. Knowing you could end your turn on a Read the Wind as well for a few additional cards could be massive here, because without access to Pumpkaboo, Christian only has 2 physical outs in his deck to bounce that path of the peak. It's the Lost Vacuum itself and an Irida to find it. It is going to be an Oranguru selected from Christian here. I know he already has access to Ultra Ball, so that could be another way that he can look towards finding another Pokemon here, most likely another Archeops if he wants to read the wind on it, but also could make some more defensive plays with the help from Dunsparce.
But it's worth noting, like you said, you know, normally has 2 outs, you know, Irida and Lost Vacuum, but normally to find Irida, you just use Luminous Sign,
that's
right?
Already shut off,
but
right?
Path to the Peak stops that, so now all the other outs that normally would be outs via like Quick Balls, Ultra Balls, they're all turned off, meaning now Christian has to try and find his outs in a 50-card deck as well, and let's see how he can navigate that.
Well, if Ethan did it, it's only fair that Christian also finds his way towards his low odds. Christian now debating this Ultra Ball. Looks like it's going to be before the Primate Wisdom. It could be another capture energy hitting the discard pile here. It does look to be that way. Christian has a lot of energy in hand.
And that's the worst place to have it in Lugia, right? You don't need it in the hand. You want it to be in deck, obviously Primal Turbo. That's where it attaches from. But there we see the second Lugia come down. Really important, because as it stands now, like you said, with no copies of Dunsparce around, Lugia is very vulnerable, actually, to a Regieleki with that Choice Belt attached. And will then also spread 40 damage to bench Pokemon.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's many other actions for Christian here outside of a Read the Wind. It might be first a Primate Wisdom. I don't think we've seen that just yet. Oh, it is just a Read the Wind. Going to get rid of powerful Colorless Energy for 3 cards here. No supporter being played for Christian. This Path to the Peak looking right now like a very good stumbling block.
Yeah, Ethan must be thinking, okay, Path of the Peak hangs around now. Ethan just played his own little mini game of getting the Regis out. You know, once all the Regis out, Reggie Gigas Ancient Wisdom comes online, letting you grab 3 energy cards from the discard pile, attach them to your Pokemon. Didn't say anything about basics, so we can see Aurora, Gift Energy, Speed Lightning, any of those. Twin Energy as well.
Fresh 4 cards from Dragon Horde here. Let's see how it treats Ethan. So Scoop Up Net, is that an ordinary rod? Yeah, nothing, just going to pass things over. And this is where Path of the Peak has to shine. If Christian can get out of this and start putting on pressure, it could really change the game.
And that's the sort of downside, in my opinion, to Regis, is that you've also got 2 mini games trying to complete, right? Like when you're playing Lost Watch, you want to get stuff in the Lost Zone. With Regis, you have to get your Regis out. That's the first hurdle. Second hurdle is then to get energies in the discard pile, and you can't really operate until both of those conditions are met. Christian finding himself in Evolution Incense. I imagine could even be finding Archeops and or V-Star. Going to be Archeops, going to discard it with the Ultra Ball in hand, and let's see what Christian can do. Yeah,
under normal circumstances, Christian would not be phased by the Path of the Peak, but we have to once again allude to the Pumpkaboo being in those prize cards. Christian's hand is basically all Ball Search right now, so it may end up that Christian simply uses another Read the Wind this turn and removes Archeops from his hand. He could continue to thin. I believe there's even things like Manaphy that he could get out of the deck just to improve his top decks, because he's not able to really pile on the pressure right now.
Yeah, and I think Manaphy would be really good as well. Like I said, it will turn off, obviously,
big Primate Wisdom
damage. Looks like, it will turn off the bench damage. And let's see what... was it a
choice spell? Not much help at all.
Well, we might even see his aero dive at some point from the Lugia. Now just 130.
First, another Read the Wind just for 3 cards. We're back over to Ethan. Picks up the Reggie Steel, and suddenly the Ancient Wisdom is online.
Also, we get the gift energy, but I think we're going to need 2 awards for that Reggie Drago to attack, right? Is he
we burn a Scoop Up Net just to Dragon's Horde for 1. It's a Trekking Shoes. We're going to get rid of that. See 1 additional card. Is there anything else Ethan can do? Because he's used Scoop Up Net, he could... Oh, okay, so we're seeing Aurora Energy being debated. Because we've already seen Scoop Up Net, Ethan could pay Retreat out of this Reggie Drago and then promote something else and gift energy back onto the new Pokemon to try and protect your Dragon's Horde. But no, going to keep as many energy onto the active position as possible. And passings over back to Christian, hoping that if Christian is able to get out of the lock, Ethan is at least getting gift energy activation. It's looking so far like the slow burn for Christian might even just manually attach his way to using Tempest Dive this turn.
Sort of thing, yeah. I mean, Tempest Dive is all colorless. If you can just attach energy a turn, you can get there, and that will be... But also getting rid of the Path to the Peak as well, right?
Huge.
If you can get there, so then you can try and Summoning Star next turn. Choice Belt comes down, or just try and get that out of the hand. And that would be quite good, you know. We see a Marnie. Wow.
Yeah.
Let's see who Mind treats better. Both players probably not drawing terribly optimally here, but both players are going to get a fresh new hand. Let's see what Christian can develop.
Are we going to see a bounce to this stadium at last, or a manual attachment at the very least? I think I saw energy in the hand.
Yeah, we saw powerful energy.
So at least we can see a Tempest Dive here. Christian going to initiate that prize race. And it will be also removing a Path of the Peak, like you say, Shay. So it's down to Ethan to once again redevelop it.
And we did see Ethan discard just one as well.
Primate Wisdom. Yeah, exactly. So there's only 2 remaining in Ethan's deck. 1 additional card being protected, possibly from Oranguru. Is this the Lost Vacuum, perhaps? No, it doesn't look like it. Maybe it's a debate. I think you certainly do Lost Vacuum here if you draw into it, even though you can Tempest Dive a Stadium away, because you just want to guarantee that Summoning Star if you have it. But no, it's just going to be attack and also points at the path. That's got to go. A few cards additionally from Gift Energy.
Was that a Path to the Peak off the gift? I feel as if it might have been.
If it is, you've got eagle eyes, Shay.
I think it was. I'm trained. See, when I play against Lugia, I know how important those Path to the Peaks are. So I'm trained to spot them from a distance. They're very, very important. I think it might have been. So now those energies do hit the discard pile, and, you know, if Ancient Wisdom comes back online, if that Reggie Drago comes back, we can just fling them straight into play. And a Choice Belt Reggie Lecky, because there is no Dunsparce.
Yeah.
Actually, and it was a Path to the Peak.
That's his last copy, because there's one in the prize cards as well. Ethan's done very well at finding his low odds outs here. Looks like it could be a turn attachment. No, he is going to think twice. In fact, get rid of the lot.
So that's 2 awards in the discard pile now, right?
I think that's mission accomplished on all fronts, really. As long as Ethan can find access to Reggie Drago this turn, we should be good. We're going to see a quick energy lotto first. You love throwing as many energy into the discard pile as possible. Really capture energy. That will do it. That means we're getting that full board state alongside Choice Belt, so it will be a knockout on the active here.
What a turn for Ethan. And even though we saw Reggie's, not getting the turn 2, the Path to the Peak bought enough turns for Ethan to get back in the game. And now Ethan's going to be rolling. These Reggies are going to be coming in a turn after turn. And actually taking a big 2-prize KO here as well.
Whilst re-establishing the Path to the Peak. It's such a powerful play here. Looks like the Cape of Toughness is going down. Yeah, I think at this stage he just wants a -1 in hand, because he will be gift energying up back into the active position and saying, you know what, I've seen enough powerful colourfuls that I'm not actually worried about Stoutland at all, so this hit point buff isn't quite as relevant as it could be in other situations. But this is exactly why the Reggie deck can be so scary. Christian unable to develop Dunsparce, allowing Ethan to jump ahead in prizes now.
And it just makes the Lugia player's life really awkward, right? It's basically saying you have to move path. You have to get down Manaphy, because Terra Spark does do bench damage as well. You have to find the Dunsparce as well, and we might try and weave in little Marnie as well. It's making life really hard for Christian. What's Christian? Does have another Lugia. Yeah,
Primate Wisdom into Evolution Incense.
Wow.
So that's going to help him out redevelop a Lugia. Is there any way to bounce this stadium? Like we say, it's only Irida and Lost Vacuum as physical outs. If he's unable to play the Irida, he has to lucky dip from a supporter. Not sure if there's even one in hand.
No, I didn't see any supporter in hand, actually. That's going to reset the primate wisdom.
Yeah, Dunsparce late to the party by the looks of things right now. Oh, there is Lost Vacuum in hand.
The Crown Zenith one.
All right, so here we go. We are getting back on track here. Christian will be able to summon his Archeops and now back up his Lugia with a Dunsparce. So things are looking pretty okay here.
Wow,
can easily get rid of Cancelling Clone. It's not ready for this matchup. So we will finally see a summoning start. It's a little bit late from Christian, but not too late. He will be able to level up the prizes this turn.
And it's going to be really interesting now for Reggies, because they're going to have to, they can just slam into the active. There's going to be no bench damage to manipulate while Manaphy's out, and there won't be no weakness. So what is the best plan here for Ethan then? What is the best attack under these circumstances?
I think Blizzard Bind, looking at Christian's board, you know, he's got Oranguru, Manaphy, Dunsparce, and only Archeops. So if you try and Blizzard Bind and hit the Lugia, you force maybe even some of these Archeops into the active position to attack, and that gets quite troublesome because you really rely on these to keep your chain of attackers going.
And yeah, exactly. And then, you know, if they go down, then you lose your engine because you can't summon the star again.
Yeah, so you'll be spending energy to retreat and then losing the way to recover energy all in one go. So I think Ethan still has some good turns laid out.
I'm really intrigued to see. And Ethan, I think, done a good job of just, you know, evening up Project, getting ahead a little bit, and that's all you can ask. And now Ethan, I think he's in the driver's seat here. You know, it's his game to lose. You know, he's gone ahead. He will be gift energy up on the back of this KO. And like you said, Christian's board is very clogged right now. Not a whole ton of attackers, and you don't want to be attacking with Iron Guru. The base damage is too low. Arc-up damage is higher, but then if that gets us KO'd, you're in big trouble. So yeah, I wonder if Ethan will look to utilize Blizzard Bind. Not an attack you see terribly often, but has its niche usage. You know, Flying Pikachu comes into example as well.
Yeah, sometimes it's the best thing you can do against a Gudra, try and force retreat options here and there. And yeah, seeing this gift energy so early from Ethan, I always feel like the Reggie players, it's really all about that gift energy. The deck feels so different when you're able to constantly top back up on cards. You're not panic drawing one or two from the Dragon's Horde. That's just an early game thing, ideally. So the gift energy really does give you license to formulate some great game plans and constantly recover your board state.
Yeah, I wasn't really a big fan of Reggie's before gift energy. I thought, I don't want to say it was a joke deck, because obviously it did have placements, don't get it twisted, but I feel as if he was playing off the board seemed very, very suspect. Gift energy, however, completely transforms that, giving you a chance to draw up to 7. Because you're giving up one prize at a time, you can get multiple uses. Obviously, Reggie Giga can just throw it back into play. And it looks like Ethan quickly identified that Blizzard Bind is the way to go, and immediately gets another Regieleki down. And you have to imagine the Blizzard Bind might be coming out this turn. Yeah,
I don't think he needs to do much else. This seems like easily the best play available to him. With that gift, once again, always being available. Gonna see actually another Scoop Up Net played here, and a second Ancient Wisdom, cashing in while he can, putting multiple threats on the board, and also a gift energy onto this Regigigas, of all things.
Is that to... in case he gets bossed up, you can retreat. I mean, the Gigaton break does 150. Maybe this is a good number, actually, to KO Archeops.
Yeah, and I think also because one of his Regices could be knocked out next turn, and he's got a Regice in the prize cards, he wants to proactively Ancient Wisdom so he can turn attach next turn to still attack. It's actually a really heads-up play, I think. Yeah, it's something I was... as soon as that happened, my eyes were a bit like, what's going on here? But it makes perfect sense. And that is why Ethan is here at this stunning 8-2-1 record, and I'm here watching him. There are a lot of intricacies with Reggie that can go unnoticed, but that is actually a really, really great play from Ethan, putting himself in turn attachment range so he doesn't have to rely on that Ancient Wisdom ability when you're in this situation where it's looking like your one copy of Regice is going down.
Yeah, and that Gigaton breaks base damage is 150 as well, right? So that deals with a lot of stuff. Love to see it. Let's see what Christian can manufacture here. At this moment in time, you have to imagine that Pay Retreat Archeops, I think it's the best play, right? I mean,
I'm not sure if he has enough special powerful energy to whap down. He may not have enough. I think there's 2 already sort of used, 1 in the discard pile, currently 1 in play. So that will force a speed wing here.
And like I said, that's so dangerous, because then you're giving up your engine. You still have 3 prize cards to take the old-fashioned way.
Is there even enough to... it looks like we're having to spend... With so many in the prize cards, don't forget. It looks like Aurora energies are having to be committed for Christian's second speed dive. Is this the last energy in deck? Yeah, the heat fire energy having to be thrown into the mix now.
Oh, that's not something you see
straight away. Ethan's like, I want to see some resources. If those are the last, those have to be like last on the list of cards you want to have to commit to the Archeops, because Ethan knows that the Radiant Charizard is a great one prize option. So if you're seeing all of these Auroras committed, as we see Ethan physically counting out what energies have been used so far. He really is on top of his game right now. Ethan's playing exceptionally well. As Christian has been forced in this play, the Blizzard Bind slowing him down, not allowing him to attack again with his Lugia V-Star, is forced into the Speed Wing. He is still ahead in the prize race, but resources are looking a lot tighter now. Yeah,
and this is where I think you're going to start to see, you know, the good players get separated from the great players. And because I said that heavy ball, that's the only way, or ordinary rod capture, anything like this works, but just a few hoops to jump through. Gift Energy giving Ethan 7 cards to work with, has the Aurora in hand.
Yeah, there's already the Twin Energy attached, actually. They're all bundled up together, so just one turn attachment is perfect to be able to Gigaton break here and take a knockout on an Archeops. It's going to be another Marnie in the mix as well. It's actually quite helpful for Christian to reload an energy that is just taken from prize cards back into the bottom of the deck, where he can access it with his second Archeops. I don't think there's any real way for Ethan to reload outside of finding Ordinary Rod. I think he was just hovering over that option now, because he does want to recycle this Regice for certain. Yeah, I was just about to say, hopefully that Ethan can develop that Regice again and then get to roll. It's like using Ancient Wisdom, and then we do see an Ordinary Rod. I can get back. I think there's a Regieleki in this card as well. Yeah, it's 100% going to be a Regice, and I think you're expecting to use Regieleki quite a lot in the matchup. Even with Dunsparce developed, it still seems to be a strong option, because it can be a Pokemon that you target from your opponent. And because you play physically 3 copies of Regieleki, you much prefer these going down, because it's a lot less strenuous now that we've seen a few Ordinary Rods played to reload this Pokemon just with physical copies of the card.
Yep, and there we see the Regice come straight back down. Welcome to the party, buddy. That is turning on the Ancient Wisdom. Not sure.
So again, I think we'll see a proactive one here.
And where does these ones go then? To Dragon? I was about to say, does it go to Dragonhawk, because that can deal with Archeops and Lugia?
Yeah, we've already dealt 130 with the previous Blizzard Bind, so Ethan attacking on all fronts here.
Now, let's just open up a bench spot for Christian, though, so we can use, I hope to, if he wants to use a different attack, is that a concession?
No, he's done.
Yeah, that's a concession. Yeah, wow.
Excellent play from Ethan there.
Heads up.
I mean, it was fortuitous to find the early Hisuian Heavy Ball, but that's only fortunate because he got the unfortunate prize cards in the beginning. So, on reflection, we're seeing an expertly played Regis there, knowing when to Blizzard Bind, knowing when to Ancient Wisdom, and double dip on it with the Scoop Up Net as well to play around the awkward situations of you missing a turn of Ancient Wisdom, making sure that you're prepared not just for the current turn, but also the next one. So if your opponent is throwing these hand disruptors in the mix, or throwing in even random tech cards, which are sometimes in Lugia, like Collapse Stadium, you're not phased by any of those things, because you're already prepared for the next turn.
Yeah, such heads-up play. Like, when that Scoop Up Net came down, I was like, what's going on here? Then, like, it makes perfect sense. We can get the energy back on, and let's say on the back of that Marnie, he couldn't immediately get back to Regice. He was still perfectly fine, just take the KO and keep it moving, and force Christian into a concession there. Super heads-up playing. Like you said, overcoming the heavy ball hurdle immediately, but I think from there, Ethan was in the driver's seat.
Yeah, very great stuff. But for Christian, at least he can look back at that and say, well, my Pumpkaboo was prized. That hopefully won't happen in the next game. I should have a much higher number of outs to deal with the initial path of the peak. As long as I can summon freely, and of course he can go first in this next game, he should have a better time of things, because he is, you know, fully teched. We didn't see the Dunsparce until slightly too late in that game, so it will be a priority for game 2.
Yeah, anytime Regis can go ahead, it's very helpful. Let's look at some prize cards then. So we see 1 path to the peak, Regieleki, 1 net, 1 rod, and a Capetovus. It's not too bad.
A lot safer now this time.
Safer.
No one can be aggrieved by their prize cards this game.
And looking at Christian, Lugia, Oranguru.
Early Aurora Energy, can discard an Archeops. That's always...
Oh, that hand, though. Was there anything good in that hand? Was
full of energies.
My
Ethan didn't know what to make of it either, as he starts to put down various Regis, even a quick ball as well.
Who needs a VIP Battle Pass, Joe? Who needs that?
I know. He's even started with the perfect Regi in the active as well, the Regi Drago, to draw a few additional cards here. As once again, we are going to see Ethan take the time to look through his prize cards. This time he can be a lot happier with just 1 Eleki in there. It is still a really key attacker, so it's something that he'll take note of, but it's far less worrisome than game 1.
Yeah, that Regieleki is really strong. Terra Spark. Spreading damage, I think, is super underrated as well. If Manaphy is not around, you can start to pepper Orangurus, start to pepper Pumpkaboo, even if that comes down without a Manaphy, you can take a cheeky little prize there. So, and obviously with a choice belt, obviously KOs Lugia V-Star in the active.
So it's 1 less piece you need later on in the game, so... sometimes the Manaphy sort of goes unnoticed. It's kind of like low on the priority list for Christian in the opening stages. 100%. So if you just don't have access to it, you can get some cheeky chip damage in which is no bad thing. It's going to be the early path of the peak again for Ethan.
And just four fresh cards, is it? Oh,
two cards for the Dragon Horde.
Finds a choice belt and a
what
research.
An amazing turn.
Jeez.
Ethan choosing not to attach the capture energy so that he has the opportunity to possibly turn attach Aurora and get another one in the discard pile. That would be the ultimate high roll situation.
Just get a speed, though, which is not too bad as well. Getting to see an extra 2 cards. Someone needs to get a temperature check on Ethan's deck. He is drawing super hard right now.
There is a combination where he wins this turn. If he has any more draw in the deck, he could scoop up net for win at this stage if he can get the full board of Reggies out. Because there's another speed energy in the discard pile now and a capture. We have the required energy for a Regieleki. We just need to see the required Pokemon and a scoop up net. But the way Ethan's playing, it's looking like a pass.
I think if that line was open, that would have been a bish bash bosh job. And then we're on to the next round. Over to Christian, who does have a capture. Is that hand? Yeah, that hand has no playables outside of the capture energy.
So
which
Oranguru and Prey here.
Yeah,
Oranguru's in the prize cards. We can't even see one more here.
Goodness, Christian, not like this, my friend.
Where'd you have to go Dunsparce this turn and simply read the wind and tank a hit, perhaps?
It has to. I think that has to be, right? That's the only way. Christian's doing the old... Wait, no, it wasn't, was it?
I can't even panic draw one here or see an additional card from Primate Wisdom. Yeah, it's a really awkward situation, but I think it will end up being either a backup Lugia or I think the Dunsparce is probably the strongest choice, but it looks to be another Lugia V here. For Christian, it keeps his Summoning Star available in a different way.
Yeah.
And I suppose he doesn't want the Dunsparce to go down super early or take snipe damage potentially from a Regieleki. So that could be why we're seeing this approach.
Wow, Christian. But this is one of the Achilles heel to Lugia, right? It's a very strong deck, but you have to play sometimes 15, 16 energy. Sometimes they are just going to be in your opening hand. Law of averages, you can't be perfect all the time. Get rid of V-Guy, and you definitely don't need that in this matchup. And so drawing free off the read the wind. And back over to Ethan. Let's see what turn he can cook up here.
Yeah, I feel like he's so close to having a really great tempo turn. We need to find still one more Pokemon. We need to find the Ancient Wisdom itself, the Regigigas. We've now moved the Regidrago, and we already have the energy set up ready for us. So as long as we have Supporter or Ball Search card, we're going to be taking 2 prizes this turn.
Is that a quick ball? It's got to be the way he's letting it. Oh, maybe it's not, actually. He would have played it a bit faster.
It's going to be another scoop up net. We're going as low as possible here.
What could this... Marnie? Research?
Yeah, I'm not too sure about it. Ethan is also not too sure about what he's going for here.
Ordinary rods? Ordinary rod? Okay.
So we're lowering cards in hand. What are we trying to top up with here, Shay? Is it going to be a Serena play, perhaps, to draw cards?
Oh, that must be what it is, right? Because there is no Dragon Horde in the active, isn't there? And the only other draw up to is a Serena.
I'm Serena's away, 2 Reggies, drawing 5. Do we have access to... Yes, last card, Regigigas. So we will be seeing a Terra Spark this turn and initiating this prize race.
Oh, my goodness. Regigigas getting ready in on the action.
Last card.
Ethan... Wow, Ethan is asking so many pressures off Christian. Now, imagine what Christian has to do with next turn, right? You've got 1 Lugia. Ethan's taking 2 prize cards. You need to replace Stadium as well, ideally, and even put 40 damage on it as well. It does look like a research, though.
We've got a lot of work cut out for us. We have at least an Evolution Incense. This can get you 2nd Archeops. I believe there's only 1 in the discard pile right now. And then we have the big research. It'll be painful. It'll be a lot of energy going. But this is what you got to do if you want to find your bounce to Path of the Peak here.
And it's really interesting. This is the sort of decision where I think if I was playing this Evolution Incense, I think I'm just taking Lugia V-Star. I want to just guarantee that. But then this is the thing, you do have to prioritize getting Archeops down as well, right? So this play obviously probably makes better sense, but it just adds another wrinkle for this research to try and fix so many pieces of this puzzle.
Well, I think Christian's saying, I'm already quite behind. Can I actually claw this game back if I don't have double Archeops on the board? It's going to be pretty tricky. Christian, I really like committing the Heat Fire Energy here because it is actually a math fixer. It means you do not get knocked out by Regidrago's attack or Regigigas' attack. So it's really helpful that you get that little bit of hit point buff.
We've missed V-Star. See, and that's it. That's what I said. Sometimes if you take the Evolution Incense, grab the V-Star, you might not get the Archeops. And that's a fair play to Ethan there, just making Christian jump over too many hurdles, and he takes his W. What a fantastic game that was.
Yeah, honestly, you see a lot of great play from Reggie's there from Ethan.
Yeah.
It isn't really given the best rap as being like the most difficult deck to play, but Ethan really squeaked those percentages as much as possible, really working with some awkward hands in the opening stages. That's what Reggie's is kind of known for, but the fact that Ethan was able to navigate those and put himself in amazing positions was fantastic to see.
Yeah, and you know, even if you could say that your Christian didn't draw the best, Ethan still had to close the door, start to actually win the game, and there were some really awkward scenarios that Ethan was presented, and he managed to navigate them really well. Make no mistake about it, Reggie's is not an easy deck to play by any means. There's so many little mini games and puzzles that you have to solve, and I feel as if Ethan solved them all that was presented to him really well.
Yeah, it looks like Ethan has been able to dodge and weave the Gudra well enough, and we should, I think, with this additional win, be able to see him in the top cut. I don't want to jinx anything, but I think he's getting there at this stage. He should have enough rounds remaining to intentionally draw, as long as he can find people to tie with, to give him enough match points, to give him that security blanket, and then it sort of ends up in how does everyone else land in the bracket? Can I keep dodging these Gudras to go deeper into the tournament? I don't want to write him off if he does face a Gudra, but everything else seems to be a pretty good matchup for him.
Yeah, and that's just sort of shows how strong the Rage deck is. You can hit for so many different weaknesses, so many situational attackers. We didn't really see it, but the other Rage Lecky can do 120 snipe and get back trainers. That's helpful. We saw Blizzard Bind, because we saw Flying Pikachu knocking about in day 2. You can Blizzard Bind that against everything else. 120 to the active, 40 snipes. Reggie Gigas, if you're coming into a VMAX like Mew, tough matchup. Even against Duraludon even, go Path, Reggie Gigas, thank you, see you later. Like, honestly, the deck has answers for a lot of format, and let's see if he can continue to old bob and weave those Gudra.
I think the Reggie deck ended up putting in Path of the Peak just because it sort of had to respect Duraludon, but now it's a real selling point of the deck.
Yeah, 100%.
It's the deck in format that plays 4 copies of them, just try and jam it early. So frustrating for Lugia players, difficult for Mew players as well. We know that there's a lot of rule box Pokemon that love to cycle through the deck, and it's really disrupting a ton in format, and it allows this sort of unconventional archetype that needs to get 6 individual Pokemon into play to have enough time to get into the flow, get into the game, and once it does, it just flows every turn.
That's why I think it's so deadly in a Reggie's deck, right? Because let's see what other paths to the deck peaks, path to the peak decks are there in format. I apologise. Mew. What's the downside about playing Mew? You're always attacking with a 3 prize. If your opponent can bounce, find Drapion, you are 3 prizes down. With Reggie's though, you can stick it turn 1. And if they remove it, you're like, oh, well, I'm going to get 1 prize, let's try again. And it's just really strong, I think. Path to the Peak, an incredible stadium. And like you said, just turning the matchups from, like you said, just something like I needed just to buy turns. But now it's like, wait a minute, I can now one-shot a Duraludon VMAX with 130 HP, I can just get out of the way. I can one-shot a Mew VMAX and get it out of the way. Such a strong card. Yeah,
you naturally just become one of the most disruptive decks in format just by playing cards you need to put in your deck. You already had to play those paths, and you already had to play Marnie just to add to your overall support account, and now it causes all sorts of questions for the opponent even before you're launching any attacks.
Yeah, honestly, it's such a strong deck. And could it be? I'm feeling this fight.
We haven't had many Reggies, you know, in top 8 in Europe. It always seems like more of a North American deck.
Yeah, I was about to say that. It's really, I see him, when you look at results, you tend to see Lost Box maybe more prevalent over this side, and then over on the other side, you know, people like Rahul already really popularising it over there. And I think there was one regional coming off the top of my head. There was 4 in top 8, I believe, right?
Yeah, lots of Reggies that weekend. And yeah, it feels like when we started the day, it looked like there were so many Gudra. I thought this is going to be a tough day for the Reggies, but it seems like Ethan has been able to bob and weave and found himself into a fantastic position to carry on for this tournament.
Yeah, and big shout-outs to Ethan. But I think we're going to be able to look at some live standings here so we can see where does Ethan exactly sit there. So looking at the top, we saw Lawrence there, Gudra, I believe.
Yeah, that is going to be a Gudra, and this is before round 13, let's not forget. So looks like we also have Tord in there playing the Lugia. Stefan is yet another Gudra in the mix. Bernardo we've shown on stream already with the really interesting Arceus, Beedrill, Inteleon archetype. Is there anything else that sticks out in these top tables? I'm really happy that we're still seeing Jimmy up there.
I was about to say, go on, Jimmy. Still there with the old Dynamo. Love to see that. Speaking of Reggies, I think Joshua doing well. Zapdos, he is undefeated. Playing Reggies as well. Funny seeing 5 ties there. But yeah, there's Ethan as well in 12th place with the Reggies. Oliver Barnett playing the DT Mew that we saw on stream yesterday. So yeah, it does look like a pretty well-balanced field there with a lot of fun decks.
Yeah, a lot of people just sort of creeping into that range where they can feel safe about making it into that top 8. And it looks like we have a lot of diversity up here. We're seeing a good amount of Gudra, a handful of Lugia, but not really dominating like we have seen in other events.
Yeah, I wonder if just everyone's as this collective, you know, we are getting towards the end of our format, everyone's saying, right, let's stand up against the Lugia and stop this right now.
Fantastic. Well, with that said, we have our winner's interview ready. Let's hear from Ethan and how he feels from a fantastic game there with his Reggie deck.